Welcome to Indie Boss Talk with your host, Melissa Ramsey.
Also known as AvaBella all over the interwebs.
If you are an entrepreneur, innovator, believer, or dreamer, then this is the show for you. Stay tuned for a power-packed podcast from the mind of artist, author, musicpreneur, Indie Boss.
And she's also our mommy. Here's Indie Boss Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode 7 of the Indie Boss Talk podcast. I am your host, Melissa Ramsey, better known as AvaBella the Indie Boss or Miss AvaBella all over the interwebs. Don't forget to stop back by every single Tuesday on your favorite podcast platform to check out new episodes of the Indie Boss Talk podcast. Also, pick up your very own subscription of the show at anchor.fm/support. If you haven't already, stop by our podcast page on Apple Podcasts and be sure to rate and comment and let us know that you're listening. We really appreciate those of you who have done this already. You're amazing. Today, I just wanted to take a little time to once and for all address what's transpired. Earlier in this month, there was a multi-day series dedicated to the R. Kelly survivors of the alleged abuse. Again, as Lifetime started out with every single solitary episode, he has not admitted to these allegations. He's not been convicted of anything with, the numerous times that he's been to court. So I just want to kind of share my perspective of, my personal account of what I've experienced in the industry and just kind of what it can be like, especially for women, especially for a woman who is passionate and going after her dreams and trying to pursue a career utilizing her gift and her talent. The entertainment industry is full of narcissists and gaslighters and abusers. And, I remember saying, early on, I guess that's just something I have to deal with, but it was just that conditioning. And so I want to just share with you guys kind of what my experience has been and go back as far as I can remember of how I dealt with the opposition of, or the opposite of, being able to fully utilize my gifts and my talents. And then fast forward to my recent experience in the industry. So if you all are interested in hearing me share my perspective in this episode 7 of the Indie Boss Talk podcast, then please stay tuned, keep listening. We'll be right back. I go back in my mind to high school. It was truly the best and the worst of times. It was the best because I finally made it out of middle school. I was starting to get a little bit of shine because I was studying opera, but that still wasn't enough to get me cool points with the kids from my neighborhood and the ones that, rode my bus. And on one particularly horrible day, I was actually excited to get back my very first deep diving piece of art. I was excited because between the bullying episodes and my undiagnosed learning differences that caused me years and years of ridicule and struggle, I finally was taking a class where I was going to shine. I was going to shine because if there was one thing I was amazing at doing, it was creating art. Sure, it was dark, and when I read it out loud to my mama and my brothers and my sisters, they tilted their heads to the side as though they had questions, as though they were confused. Most times, they never asked those questions. Sometimes, my mom would just muster a smile and tell me it was beautiful. When she'd say that, I felt that. Beautiful. Beautiful on the inside and beautiful on the outside. But on this particularly horrible day, my mother's encouragement and my mother's edification went straight to hell. When I got back, my very first piece of deep diving artwork with a big, fat, red letter F. Now, it only took a couple of phone calls and one visit for my mother to get the poetry teacher understood that you cannot grade her child's art. You cannot grade it so harshly, and you shouldn't even be attempting to put that low of a letter grade on her child's work. It would be many, 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 many years before I would fully understand what that pain was and that feeling was that I felt when my art was rejected, when it was mistaken for something else. Other times my art has been associated with a means for people to utilize my gifts and talents for their own gain, financially, for notoriety, for placement and advancement of their careers. And it wouldn't be until very recently when I was able to put a name on those type of people that would do those type of things to somebody who was just trying to take their broken heart and make it into art. I'll be right back with more on that Carrie Fisher quote that Meryl Streep so eloquently shared during the 2017 Lifetime Achievement Award acceptance speech that she gave on the Golden Globes. That hit me like a ton of bricks. Take your broken heart, make it into art. I'll be right back after this. You're listening to Indie Boss Talk. Be right back. And now a word from our sponsor. Hey, you guys, it's AvaBella, the Indie Boss with Indie Boss Talk podcast. And I know you're listening and you've probably been trying to figure out how you can boss it up and start your own podcast, right? Well, when I was trying to get Indie Boss Talk off the ground, I had so many questions. I didn't know how to record an episode. I didn't know where I would find background music. I didn't know how to get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, you name it. Anywhere that people like to listen, I couldn't figure out how to do it. And another thing, where was I going to find advertisers? So the answer to every one of those questions is super simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and it's 100% ridiculously easy to use. So I use Anchor direct from my iPhone 7 Plus. I record directly into the app, or I record into my voice recorder on my phone. I've also recorded into GarageBand with my studio headphones and my studio mic. I've done it all three ways. And that's what I like about it, the versatility. If I want to put my music into the podcast, I can. If I want to feature other artists' music, I can. If I want to have a guest on the show and pre-record the podcast, I can. So if you've always wanted to record a podcast and get started, Go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. And I can't wait to hear your podcast. The entertainment industry is full of people that are just trying to take their broken heart and make it into art. When Meryl Streep said that during her Golden Globe speech last year, it really hit me hard, and I've held on to that. And there's a lot of people that are broken in the entertainment industry who, due to their brokenness, prey on other people who are broken and just trying to create art and find their way and, live their dreams and realize whatever their own individual success is, if that is getting past hurts, if that is overcoming through what they are creating, whatever the case is, there's a lot of people, big scale, small scale, and, everything in between that utilize that in itself as an opportunity to take advantage of people. Like a lot of us in entertainment, like a lot of us artists, I watched the 6-part series of Surviving R. Kelly. It was horrifying to hear the stories and the shit show that has ensued afterward. Nobody really knows what happened but him and the people who were there. The people that watched, the people that heard, the people that were in the room, the people that enabled, the handlers, and it's on everybody. And people keep debating whether this is a plot or a ploy to destroy this man's name. I cannot say for sure if every single solitary allegation is true or false, but what I can say is that behavior runs rampant in the entertainment industry, small, medium, and large. And we have to be very careful how we treat people, because all things done in the dark come to the light. And so, as I always say, if you have been gifted with a talent, if you have been charged with a calling that you are supposed to walk in, there is an art to everything, but especially there is an art to how we treat each other. And we have been tasked with, as a people, to honor our gifts and our talents and to recognize other people's light, not try to dim it, not try to destroy it, and not try to harm each other. That's just, what we're charged to do as people, period. Some people don't get that. Some people will hurt, harm, destroy, steal at all costs. It doesn't matter. They're just trying to get theirs. This is something that really has to stop. We are moving into a time and space and place on our planet where it is imperative that those of us with gifts are able to deliver that creativity and that art and what it is that we're supposed to do to the world without any hindrance. And so if you are one of those people who is hindered, who has tried to dim a light, who has used abused, mishandled an opportunity where you could have actually been an instrument. You could have actually been a vessel to assist in someone else realizing and walking in their calling. Shame on you. Shame on you. You not only do that person a disservice, you not only do yourself a disservice, because again, everything that's done in the dark will come to the light, but you do the world a disservice, because everyone who is tasked with utilizing a gift, a talent, or an ability, you know, we're supposed to give that away. And not to say that it's going to be easy. You know, people might just say it is what it is. That's how it's been. That's how it's always going to be. But that doesn't make it right. And again, only people that know what happened is the people that were there. So I'm just speaking from what is on my heart. We really have to do better by one another. If you see something that's not right, you should speak up. If you see something that is going to hinder what you know is supposed to happen, and you see something that you just know in the crack-ass crevice of your heart, you know it ain't right, your spirit is unsettled, but you do it anyway, you're wrong. And again, shame on you. We've got to do better by each other. We've got to. People need what we have. And if you are silencing someone because of your behaviors, because of your actions, you're despicable. And you won't be rewarded. It might look like you are, but you will not be rewarded. It's going to come to a close. I know I kind of took the long way around with that one, but quite honestly, everything that I learned and observed about the industry, again, on a local level, regional, national, is packed full of misusers and abusers of people who are just trying to go after their dreams. And whether or not the allegations are true, because I know there's been a huge debate about that. You know, who do we blame? Do we blame the parents? Do we blame the artists? Do we blame the people who were onlookers? Do we blame the enablers? Do we blame those who just simply didn't say anything? All that I'm saying is exactly the way that I felt back in the day, that my art was mistaken for something else and it wasn't appreciated. That is the exact same thing that I've come to understand runs rampant, not just with my recent experience, but just overall. And so I'm just challenging you who are listening, those of you who are creatives, those of you who have the ability to affect positive change in someone's life, don't mistake their gifts and their talents. Don't use and abuse these vessels, because sometimes all they're trying to do is take their broken heart and make it into art. That's it. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Indie Boss Talk podcast. I've been your host, Melissa Ramsey, also known as AvaBella the Indie Boss, or Miss AvaBella all over the interwebs. I will see you next week. Again, tune in every single Tuesday for a brand new episode of Indie Boss Talk. I'm super excited for the interviews that we have coming up and the new music that I'll be sharing. as well as the art of some amazing, amazing vessels that I have had the pleasure and the opportunity to cross paths with in the last few years. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.